What is going on, everyone? We are back with the 4th week of fat loss, and we are also back in the dark using the ring light as our lighting, so it is a little bit different from last week. Here are the previous week's calories and weight statistics. Went a little bit lower on the calories this time because the week before was a little bit higher, so I made up for it now. Average weight was 97.5 kilos with a change of minus half a kilo, and the total weight loss is now 2.5 kilos. Here is the comparison between week 1 and week 4. Starting to see a little bit of change now. This week I actually saw some change in the mirror as well, but it isn't really considerable yet. I reckon I gotta wait at least a few more weeks for that to start being the case. Waist measurement this week was 91 centimeters, so the same as last week. It do be like that sometimes. Neck was 40 centimeters, so +1 from last week. Chest was also +1 from last week, 120 centimeters. Arms still 41 centimeters. And legs still 75 centimeters. I really am not joking when I say that these are still gonna be like 70 plus centimeters when I'm done with this whole thing. My sleeping schedule has rolled forward again. I'm awake in the early morning, but I have to stay up pretty long so that I can attend tomorrow's lectures. Which means I'll be waking up probably at late night and can't do my evening workout on Monday evening. So I'm doing it now, Monday early morning. I've been up 12 hours now, not too bad, but I haven't eaten anything for 6 hours. We'll see how this goes. See if this helps. I forgot my shorts. I'm not squatting without my shorts. God damn it. Yeah, I guess I wasn't in the best psychological alertness with my daily rhythm changes and not having eaten all night, but I eventually managed to get to the gym with all my equipment and clothes as well. Starting with squats, I was unsure of whether to go for 140 kilos or for more, so I decided to do a couple sets with 145 kilos and then 3 sets with 140 kilos. These went pretty well overall, all things considered, but I was definitely straining under the bar quite hard on some of those sets. I finally decided to add some load to Larsen press, so did them with 92.5 kilos this time. Managed to get 10 reps on the first set, but it was definitely way harder than last week's 90 kilos, and I lost some reps on the subsequent sets. I will say goodbye to this exercise for a while, because I will be making some changes to my programming starting next week. Still, I've been using this exercise every week since November, so it has definitely served its purpose, and it is an effective exercise, so I will be using it sometime in the future again. Barbell rows were pretty much exactly the same as last week. I used the same load, so 92.5 kilos, and did it for the same reps, so 10, 8, 8 and 7, and my rest periods were the same. So a stable performance overall. Anyway, that is Monday's workout finished. Now, interestingly, my lowest weigh-in this week was 213.4 pounds, so the exact same number as my first week's lowest weigh-in. The only difference is that back then it was because of the lack of creatine, my body was dropping water, while now it's an actual legitimate 213.4 pounds. Another morning, another training. Another early morning training session on Tuesday. Did 3 sets of 5 with 65 kilos and 2 sets of 5 with 62.5 kilos, so the other way around compared to last week. While it looks relatively easy, I don't think I was leaving any reps in the tank. Overhead press for me either goes pretty fast or it doesn't go at all. It is slowly creeping up, however, and I can't wait to reach the next 10 kilo barrier. A very nice bright view of pull-ups. Let's call these blessed pull-ups because they actually went pretty well. I managed to get 8 reps on the first set finally, and then 7, 6 and 6 on the subsequent sets. I don't think it's gonna take many weeks for me to get 4 sets of 8 with 10 kilos added, which will be a very nice little milestone. When I make those programming changes next week, I'm gonna start doing 5s on these, however, so I might have to change that goal to 5 sets of 5 with 20 kilos added instead. Finishing up the workout with pushdowns, cable curls and lateral raises again. Decided to put a little bit more weight on pushdowns and cable curls compared to last week because they were moving so well. However, I lost some reps, especially on the pushdowns. Probably bit a little bit more than I could chew this time, but you definitely gotta test your limits every now and then, otherwise you have no idea where they are. And there I am swinging my arms in front of the mirror, meaning that Tuesday's workout is just about done. Now, Thursday was an interesting mixture of successes and failures, though not necessarily in that order. Started off with the bench, put 120 kilos on the bar, and was kinda hoping that it would be a good day. Spoiler alert, it was not. I got pinned under the bar on the first set on the 5th rep. I did acknowledge that this might happen after the 4th rep, but I decided to go for the 5th one just to see if I could make it. And I managed to get a couple holes in my shirt for trying to roll the bar over my belt. Good job. Decided to try 120 kilos again, just in case the first set was just a case of misgrooving the reps. But after the 3rd rep, I knew that I could not get 5 even if I tried, so I decided to be smart and rack the bar. Did my last 3 sets with just 110 kilos, luckily this was moving very well, and on my last set I decided to do 7 reps. The last one was kind of a grinder, very glad that I didn't get pinned under the bar twice in the same session. Yeah, that was bench for this week. Now this is a great reminder that when you're an intermediate, especially a late intermediate, you cannot just put more weight on the bar every week and expect linear progress. However, I decided to go for 120 kilos on the high bar squat as well. Not sure if it was to redeem myself from the bench press or just because it's a nice little round number, probably a little bit of both. Luckily I managed to get 10 reps on my first set, though that did take quite a bit out of me, so I lost some reps on the subsequent sets. Got 7, 6 and 5 on those without leaving any reps in the tank. Of course I could have stood there with the bar on my back taking several breaths between every rep, but I've decided not to do that because that kinda makes the sets rest pause sets, which is a completely different thing. Anyway, this is far and above my best performance on high bar squats, especially going as deep as I have been going for the past 6 months or so. Very happy with this performance, glad I decided to test my limits and go all out on this exercise. My endurance is still somewhat of a problem because I tend to run out of breath towards the end of the set. But, of course, it's gonna get better as I lose weight and increase my work capacity. Now, even after the high bar squat performance, dumbbell rows probably ended up being the star of this session. I decided to go for 35 kilos just because I knew that this would be my last hard week of training before changing my programming next week. Focused very hard on having clean technique and got 15, 12, 10 and 8 reps. And of course this concludes Thursday's workout. Now, I was traveling through the weekend, so I went for my Friday workout in the morning right after waking up before my train left. I was absolutely brutally tired going into this session and felt very tired during it, but I managed to get through it somehow. Wasn't the best session, understandably. I'm not very good at working out first thing in the morning because I'm not used to it at all. Similar to my bench press the previous day, incline bench was kind of a failure. I went for 85 kilos, so 2.5 kilos more than last week and only got 8, 8, 5 and 5 reps. These moved really fast at first, especially the last 2 sets, and then I just completely ran out of energy all of a sudden. This unfortunately is another variation that I will be removing next week. Instead, I'm gonna start doing incline dumbbell bench press. Instead of going for the neutral grip pull-ups that I usually do at the end of this session, I decided to go for plain old regular chin-ups because I was able to do them right at the same spot and it saved some time. This is probably the pull-up variation that I will be going for starting next week because I have noticed that I'm a little bit stronger on these than any other variation. Got 11, 9, 7 and 6 reps with my body weight, which was 96 kilos on this morning. Now this week I didn't go for the extra workout that I did last week where I tried to do as many reps as I could in 7 minutes on chin-ups, push-ups and sit-ups each. However, when I change my program next week, I'm gonna make that workout an official part of my plan. This was my 4th week of linear increases either through weight or reps on all of the exercises. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot possibly make gains week to week as an intermediate or especially a late intermediate or advanced lifter, so if you keep increasing the load or reps, you will just be expending more and more effort every week. Now those of you that are very keen and bright will understand that this is not in any way sustainable. So instead I will be reducing the load on all my exercises, switching some assistance exercises for new ones, and then starting the linear progression again. Then I basically repeat this process over and over again. More on the new program in next week's video. Unfortunately, like I alluded to last week, winter has come back. It is cold, it is snowy, and it is slippery outside, so cardio will have to wait for another X amount of weeks, however long this weather decides to stay. But at least that leaves more energy for actual training in the gym. Thank you for watching this week's video, and I will see you next week.